Welcome to my YouTube channel. This is my review regarding my Super Soco electric bike, or basically it's a moped, because in the Netherlands it can only go 45 kilometers an hour, which is not that fast, but it's fine for me. Why did I buy this moped? Well, for me it was very simple. I wanted to have a simple bike, electric, that could bring me to work every day, and that's exactly what it does. So first of all, why did I buy this bike? And my wife needs a car to bring the children to school. I don't need a car to bring myself to my job. Sometimes it's nice to have a car so I can pick up the children if my wife has to work late. However, that's 1% of the time. So in order to cut costs, we want to drop the second car. And basically I have three main options. That's buying a smaller car, which I don't want to do, going by bicycle, or buying a moped / scooter. And I wanted to buy an electric scooter. I have been designing electric vehicles for a long time now, and I never had the chance to really own one myself. Electric bike is of course an electric vehicle. However, for me the major downfall for an electric bicycle is the time loss. If I go by electric scooter or by car, it takes me between 15 and 20 minutes. If I go by bicycle, it takes me 45 minutes to an hour. And I'm home a little bit earlier than my wife, and that time I need to cook and prepare dinner for the kids when they come back from school. So losing that half an hour would be quite valuable for me. So that's why I didn't buy a bicycle and went for an electric scooter. Now in this video I'm trying to explain if this bike is for everybody. Now with electric vehicles it's quite simple. No, it's not for everybody. And in this case particularly, I think a lot of young people are attracted to the design. However, I think that if I remember my time when I went to high school and I had a moped and I had to go to work, and we wanted with friends to go to the McDonald's or whatever, you wanted to have a certain amount of freedom. And I think that this bike, with one battery at least, doesn't provide that freedom. You have to think too much about how to drive and what speed to use. Otherwise you're just not gonna get very far with your range. And possibly with a second battery in there it's much better. However, still I can imagine that the youngsters today don't really care for planning your route and thinking about what you're doing. And you know, for me, I always drive very efficiently because in the Netherlands fuel is very expensive. Now with this bike it's very difficult, since I'm quite tall. I'm 6'7" or 1.95 m. So this bike is quite small for me. And when you put it next to a real bike you can actually see the difference in size. However, because it has an electric motor, it's quite quick for what it is. I mean, it's not a fast bike in any means, but I mean it's just you know, I use it to friends to travel to my job every day, 15 kilometers to my work and 15 kilometers back, and for that it's perfect. It's fine. It's not the most comfortable bike. I am seriously considering redoing the seat of it, and seriously considering asking a company local to me for making a custom rear strut, because the rear suspension is just way too soft, and when you're driving on the bicycle lane, there's a lot of tree roots sticking out, and the bumps are just horrible. But you know, that's basically the major downfall. Looking at the upgrades that the company did during the time that I own it, they made it more efficient, and what I have to applaud them for is that they made it very how do you say, very reliable in the sense that the capacity of the battery is predicted very nicely. So if the battery is at 50%, it's also at 50% of the range. That sounds very logical. However, with how a battery discharges, that's actually very difficult to do and to predict. And that ever since I have this bike, they made huge changes to that, and they really got it right at this point in time, in my opinion. I have this bike now for well over a year, and I put on at least 5,000 kilometers by just driving day-to-day mileage. The big benefits for me, I have solar panels, so I can charge it at home. It's very easy. The big downfall is I think comfort, and just in general, the downfall is my size and the route that I drive. My size, because of if it's windy, I lose a lot of energy. Again, I'm quite tall on a small bike, so the weight and the size of me, it takes out a lot of energy from the battery. And for those people who are considering buying this bike, just take note of that. If you are like me, I have to drive 30 kilometers per day. That's what the battery can do when it's cold and when it's raining and when it's windy. In summertime it can do 50 kilometers, maybe even 60. Now, a big remark I have to make: the Netherlands is completely flat. There are some minor hills, and of course the crossings over highways are a little bit raised, but that's about it. There are several points in the country where there are some elevation changes, and I happen to live near one. So I drive up a small incline. It's about, I think, a 30-meter height difference, and then it goes down and goes back up again, but it's this very steady gradual increase in height, and it drains the battery much more, both on the way to my job and on the way back from my job. Now, generally in the Netherlands we don't have that at all, and therefore generally I think the bike can do a little bit better. Again, with my size and my weight, it should be able to do better with smaller and lighter people if the driving style is good. Yeah, I think very shortly from my side, I really like the bike. Again, comfort is a little bit the downfall of the bike, but besides that, it's a nice looking bike and it does what, for me, it needs to do. And just for me personally, what I miss is having a radio on my way back home to clear my head, but yeah, that's something you don't have. And another small downfall, I don't necessarily miss it that often, but sometimes I miss it, and that's with this bike design. You cannot store your helmet in the bike like you can with a scooter. So that's, I can imagine that for some that's a downfall as well. So I hope this review was of some interest to you, and thank you for watching, and see you in another video.